Lois Griffin is often written off as the rational voice of reason in the Griffin household. But if you've been paying attention over the years, she has proven she can be just as unhinged and chaotic as Peter. Whether she is aggressively manipulating her group of girlfriends, acting out for outside validation, or going on psychotic, petty revenge sprees, Lois and the girls have delivered some truly wild storylines.
I'm attracted to another man.
Giggity.
It's Meg's boyfriend, Anthony.
Giggity.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into the worst Lois and the girls moments in Family Guy. Let's start the show. We are kicking things off with Season 23, Episode 14. An episode that perfectly captures how wildly competitive Lois can get when her social life is threatened. Have you ever wondered what happens when Lois gets boxed out of her own friend group? Well, she lets pure jealousy take the wheel, challenging her own teenage son to a brutal athletic showdown just to prove a point. The story kicks off while Lois and her girlfriends are out on a brisk speed-walking session through the neighborhood. During the walk, Lois voices some serious concerns about Chris's health and weight, fearing that if he doesn't change his habits, he might end up with severe medical issues, or even in a wheelchair someday. Her friends suggest that getting Chris involved in some kind of after-school sport might be the perfect solution to get him into shape.
You know what? That's a great idea. After all, sports are in his DNA. Peter's great-grandfather invented one.
Taking the advice to heart, Chris tries his hand at a few different athletic endeavors, including shot put and joining the wrestling team.
You don't have to explain yourself to me, Chris. As an adult whose bath mat is newspapers, I'm pretty into it too.
Where he briefly adopts the persona of the Griffinator and launches himself right off the top rope. However, none of those traditional sports really stick. It isn't until Chris suffers a sudden number 2 bathroom emergency that his true athletic calling is finally awakened.
It's the perfect race walking form.
Oh no, the door is locked.
Forced to do what he hilariously dubs a poop trot rodeo, Chris discovers that by clenching and violently swinging his hips, he can generate an insane amount of forward speed without actually dilating. Who knew the key to athletic greatness was just trying to hold in a bathroom emergency? Chris officially enters the world of competitive speedwalking.
So, are we all excited for Chris's first race walking competition?
No, this is gonna be so boring.
And after winning his very first competition, Lois proudly invites him to start tagging along with her and the neighborhood ladies on their daily walks.
Hey, I got an idea. Do you want to take a stroll with us?
But this innocent mother-son bonding quickly backfires on Lois. Chris's mesmerizing, hypnotic, hip-swinging form makes him an absolute sensation.
Walk in place like a lunatic who's clearly using this mild exercise to keep their own demons at bay?
And he inadvertently ends up poaching all of Lois's friends. Suddenly, Lois finds herself completely boxed out of her own friend group's social circle, entirely replaced by her own teenage son.
Officer 3Y didn't die in a tragic freeway accident so we could dishonor his memory.
Driven by pure, unadulterated jealousy, Lois decides she has to assert her dominance and win her friends back.
Why?
Because they're my middle-aged female friends, and lately it's like they enjoy hanging out with my teenage son more than me.
She challenges Chris to a brutal, head-to-head speedwalking race through the streets of Quahog, which is hilariously narrated by a somewhat decent Christopher Walken impersonator. The mother and son furiously hoof it through the town, but as they close in on the finish line, Chris is clearly in the lead and about to take the victory. But in a surprisingly wholesome twist, the prodigal son decides to throw the race. Just inches from the finish line, Chris grabs his leg and fakes a dramatic hamstring injury, collapsing to the ground like a star athlete shot down in his prime. This allows Lois to cross the finish line and secure the win.
Why?
Because I want you to win this race, Mom. You looked out for me by getting me involved in sports. Now I'm looking out for you.
When Lois checks on him, Chris admits that he took a dive on purpose. He explains that Lois was just looking out for him by getting him involved in sports, so he decided to look out for her by letting her have her friend group back. It's a surprisingly touching moment between mother and son that ends the episode on a high note, proving that sometimes even Lois's most petty, jealous moments can have a sweet resolution. Moving on to Season 23, Episode 19, we get a perfect look at Lois's absolute worst busybody traits taking center stage. Have you ever wondered how far Lois would go to control what everyone in the neighborhood is allowed to read? Well, she goes full dictator mode, leading a suburban crusade to rewrite classic literature just to fit her own extremely sheltered, modern-day views. The story kicks off innocently enough with Brian trying to read Stewie a classic bedtime story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
He/his grandparents all sleep on the same cruelty-free mattress because they are otherwise unhoused.
However, as Brian reads the pages, he quickly realizes that the story is wildly different from how he remembers it. In this bizarre, updated version, the famous everlasting gobstoppers are suddenly vegan, and after Augustus Gloop falls into the iconic chocolate river, he immediately gets out and issues a public apology for doing blackface.
Someone changed this classic kids book to make it all woke. Who would do something like this?
Probably someone who cares about their children.
Completely bewildered by these ridiculous and unnecessary changes, Brian investigates and discovers that Lois is the mastermind behind the heavily edited books. Lois proudly reveals that she has become the self-appointed leader of a local chapter of a highly aggressive suburban mom group. Dubbed Mothers Invested in Literary Fixing, Lois and her group of girlfriends inadvertently create a highly questionable acronym for their club that is definitely not appropriate to say in a school setting.
What you're doing is offensive to me as an author.
Self-published author.
Well, too bad, 'cause we're just getting started.
Empowered by her new leadership role, Lois and her group make it their ultimate mission to update, change, and censor every piece of classic literature they can get their hands on. They claim they are simply making the books more socially conscious for today's world, but in reality, Lois is just using the group as a vehicle to control exactly what everyone else is allowed to consume.
Whoever is angriest is going to win, so have at it. Come on! It's pretty close.
She completely crosses the line from a concerned parent to a tyrannical censor, proving that she will stop at nothing to force her own moral superiority onto the rest of the town. Eventually, Brian steps up to push back against Lois's overbearing book-banning crusade.
Oh, my book is being co-opted by the right. It's gross. And it's selling. It's #2 on the neo-Nazi bestseller list.
He points out the absolute absurdity of the situation, calling out the sensitive moms who want to edit books just because it hurts their precious feelings, while also roasting the extreme individuals who want to ban books altogether. It perfectly captures Lois's most annoying busybody traits, as she completely loses sight of common sense just to play the role of the neighborhood hero.
You have brought us together, Brian Griffin. We've both agreed to ban just one book. Yours.
Moving on to Season 21, Episode 3, we get a front row seat to Lois crossing some major marital boundaries just to get a little extra validation. Have you ever wondered how Lois would react if one of Peter's friends accidentally saw her without any clothes on? Well, instead of being embarrassed, she uses the incredibly awkward mishap to completely feed her own ego. The story kicks off during Peter and Lois's anniversary party at the Pewterschmidt mansion.
A lot of years for us.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so what do you think about dinner?
Oh, God, I'm so tired of thinking about dinner. I don't know.
Lois steps into the bathroom to change, but an unsuspecting Joe accidentally wheels his way right in and gets a full, unexpected show. While most people would be horrified, the situation gets even more awkward when the incident causes Joe's generals to suddenly stand at attention. That's right, seeing Lois in her birthday suit somehow miraculously cures Joe's long-standing lower body issues. The very next day, Bonnie gleefully tells Lois about the incredibly fun night of love she and Joe just shared, noting that it was the first time in 9 entire years that Joe was able to achieve manhood.
You know, without a pill, a shot, or a pump.
You don't say.
It was crazy.
Realizing she was the direct catalyst for Joe's sudden revitalization, Lois gets an absolutely massive ego boost, since Peter completely rejects her romantic advances at home, preferring to drink rather than spend intimate time with his wife. Lois decides to chase that validation by intentionally putting on highly suggestive shows for Joe. She starts doing ridiculous things, like trying to look seductive while cleaning dog poop off her shoes in the front yard, just because she knows Joe is secretly spying on her from his window.
Lois Griffin, you are adding spice to that marriage. Wow, look at me, making a difference for those in need.
Eventually, Quagmire spots Lois strutting around the yard putting on her weird show for Joe. Surprisingly taking the moral high ground, Quagmire snitches to Peter, prompting Peter to confront his wife.
What I'm trying to tell you is I saw Lois strutting around your front yard, basically putting on a show for Joe, and he was into it. What?
He rightfully points out that Lois is completely disrespecting their marriage and flaunting herself in front of the neighborhood just to boost her own ego. But Lois refuses to back down, claiming she is performing a good, necessary service for Joe and Bonnie's marriage.
We're talking about Joe.
All right, we're moving again because Joe's in the army.
I
don't want to move to Omaha.
Taking things to the absolute extreme, Lois shows up right at Joe's front door in high heels at noon on a Tuesday, fully prepared to give him a private show. But Joe honorably shuts it down. He tells Lois that he can't do that to Peter, though he sincerely thanks her for her service to his marriage.
I understand. Bye, Joe.
Say, Lois.
Yes?
Desperate for attention and completely unhinged, Lois declares that if she could do it for Joe, she could do it for a whole hospital wing of disabled veterans.
Lois Griffin, reporting for duty.
This wild crusade finally comes to an end when the police step in and arrest her, proving that Lois's need for outside validation is strong enough to earn her a criminal record.
Peter, what are you doing here?
I smushed my thing up against the glass of a Lululemon.
For our final spot on the list, we are looking at Season 21, Episode 17, a bottle episode. Have you ever wondered just how petty and unhinged Lois Griffin can truly be when her reputation is on the line? Well, after being banned from a vacation rental app over a seemingly ridiculous accusation, Lois goes into full-blown psycho mode, stalking an Airbnb host just to blackmail her way back to a 5-star rating. The story kicks off in peak suburban mom fashion, with Lois walking into the kitchen with her iPad flashlight turned on to excitedly announce she has secured a beautiful Airbnb in Nantucket for the 4th of July.
Look, everybody just pack your bags because we leave tomorrow.
I thought you said July 4th. It's October.
Surprisingly, the Griffins head to the island and miraculously manage to get through their entire vacation without a single argument. Feeling refreshed, Lois tries to book the house again for a future trip.
You know what? We had such a great time. I'm just gonna book another visit to that house.
But she is horrified to discover that the owner, Doi, gave them a 0-star review and banned them from the app for allegedly stealing. Unable to accept this massive blemish on her perfect record, Lois goes into full interrogation mode, questioning the entire family to find the culprit. However, Doi messages her back and clarifies that the stolen item in question was just a bottle of shampoo. Lois's memory is suddenly jogged, and she realizes she is the actual thief.
Oh, that.
Forgot to grab one for Chris, you absolute ancient hag.
A realization perfectly emphasized by the heavy, audible thud the massive shampoo bottle makes when she shamefully drops it onto the kitchen table. Desperate to fix her rating, Lois drives all the way back to Nantucket to personally return the bottle to Doi and politely ask her to change the review.
I wanted to return it to you personally.
Oh, that's so nice. You didn't have to drive all this way.
But Doi sees right through the act, calling Lois out for only apologizing because she got caught, and absolutely refuses to change her rating. In Lois's world, this refusal is a total declaration of war.
Okay, you win, Dottie. You got your shampoo back, and you officially got me canceled.
This isn't being canceled.
I think it is.
Like a terrifying stalker in the night, Lois stakes out Doi's house to figure out her weakness and discovers she relies entirely on DoorDash for all of her meals. Dedicating herself entirely to petty revenge, Lois actually gets a job as a delivery driver and spends an absurd amount of time working on the island just to boost her driver score. She waits patiently for the golden ticket, a food delivery order leading directly to Doi's house. The master plan culminates in a chilling horror movie-style scene where Lois shows up at Doi's front door drenched head to toe from the rain, wearing a sickeningly sweet, psychotic smile.
Lois? What are you doing here?
I brought you dinner. And delivery complete.
Lois completely flips the script on the host, threatening to leave a horrible driver review for Doi on the delivery app, effectively blackmailing her with a ban that would stop her from receiving food deliveries during the harsh winter.
Hey, what do you want? Money?
No. Open up Airbnb, then change that review.
Terrified, Doi completely caves and agrees to change the Airbnb rating. But Lois doesn't just stop at the victory. She boldly admits that she intentionally stole the shampoo just because it gave her a tiny spark of joy in her sad life, proudly embracing her identity as a secret little psycho with very little to lose.
So if you ever think of giving someone a bad review again, remember this. We know where you live.